I will be talking about Star Wars Jedi Survivor, but the footage you're going to see is from the game, but about the former game. So there won't be any spoilers for Jedi Survivor, but there will be content from Jedi Fallen Order, the 2019 game, which is basically kind of a rehash of what the previous story was, kind of how they did in Ragnarok, where they put a little bit of a contextual story piece regarding the God of War 2018. Now, if you haven't played the 2019 game, don't talk to me. Why are you even here? I'm just kind of playing, but not really. Go get the game and play it. It's a really good game. Story's well written. Today, we wanted to talk about the challenges that Jedi Survivor is facing. I already got the game. I've played about 3 hours of it. It is a phenomenal 3 hours. The challenge you will face, however, if you're playing on the PC version, which is where I've played on, is that it is very rough the way that it runs. It's not buggy in the sense of game mechanics being broken. It just has performance issues when it comes to stability and frame rates. And in my experience, this has only been limited to the first area, the opening section. Now, we could say, okay, maybe it's only limited to this area, but the challenge with that is the first area is a tutorial area. So that's where I think the problem is. Now, many of you might say, you play Gotham Knights, which had bugs in the beginning, but when you kind of look at things, the first and opening area of Gotham Knights was actually a controlled environment. It wasn't buggy at all. You could play through the tutorial and get a hang of the combat and everything. It's when you actually got out of that university, Gotham University, and then you went out to the open world, that's where you started experiencing the glitches and the frame drops and so on and so forth. I also enjoyed Gotham Knights. I said yes, the performance issues seem to be like a problem in my eyes because on PC we were able to go in and manually lock the frame rate, so it didn't necessarily mean too much on the PC side. On the PlayStation side, some bugs, and the PlayStation and Xbox side, when you were at the railway, you had some frame drops and so on and so forth. In this particular case with Jedi Survivor, I think it's actually provided kind of a weird impression for people who are mostly looking forward to the game. And in my opinion, I think that this is probably not necessarily the greatest look for the developers. I'm somebody who gives developers the benefit of the doubt. And you guys know that the team at Respawn, because they made Jedi Fallen Order, it was a good game. I enjoyed the game. I really like the work that they put together. I like the mechanics and the systems they put together. But this is also something where if you're looking forward to playing the game on PC, it is a hit or miss. And when I say it's a hit or miss, I mean it is definitely a hit or miss. So if we wanted to kind of go ahead and look at it, right? And say, okay, what are, people saying about the game on PC? What is the perception like? What are the reviews like? This is something where we will probably get into a weird territory. As of yesterday, the reviews were saying that, all of this is just, mixed in terms of how people are perceiving it. Some people have said, maybe it's just one of those things that, as, a community, we probably need to go in and figure out like, okay, how is this we're going to basically assess the game. Right now, the reviews are looking like it's mixed. And when I say mixed, I'm talking about like there's like almost a half and a half in terms of who likes it and who doesn't like it. So yesterday was about a 29%. That's one thing about jumping the gun. A lot of people who jump the gun, they'll be like, 29%, vomiting nonsense. But sometimes you just have to wait. And now you have about 7,000 reviews, 6,999, and 49% of the users say it's a positive experience. And I think this is because of something going on. Some people are having good experiences with it, no issues in the first area, and some people are having a poor experience with it in the first area. Some people are, basically avoiding or saying, the first area was my only problem. Doesn't mean I'm going to write off the entire game. And some people have said that because of this experience, they don't recommend the game right now. Even though many of them are using high-end rigs, many of them are talking about, how the game and how the different systems and the mechanics, are appealing to them, but they just can't, they can't enjoy the game because the game is running at these performance levels. So you can see on both sides of the screen, people like it on the right side. If you're looking, in my perspective, and then on the left side, some people don't necessarily, vibe with it. So this is basically what you're seeing on this front when it comes to this particular game. You can scroll down and you can see, if we wanted to do the math, I think we're going to see that there is a higher percentage of people who are saying, man, we're not digging this at all because, let's go here and let's look at review type. Positive says about 3,566. Negative says about 3,851, which also goes back to Respawn's statement that they made surrounding this game, where they said, we know that things are going weird on PC. And by the way, this is the footage from the first game, so don't go ahead and don't go ahead and start yelling at me. I mean, dude, go play the first game. Like I said, it brings it back to Respawn's statement that they made on Twitter, where they said, while there is not a single solution for every game out there, we're trying our best to make sure that whenever it is that you go ahead and play the game, you have the best experience on PC, because we're just working our faces off. And I think these are the sides of game development that a lot of gamers, we've kind of come to expect, that games are more than likely going to be getting some issues. Not something that we should always accept, but a reality that we should pay attention to and always note. Example being the fact that in the middle of the development of this game, Epic Games had already upgraded their engine to a full version of Unreal Engine 5, basically saying a lot of what we did in Unreal Engine 4 is probably not going to be the best right now. But they were already in the middle of developing their game. No one's going to shift development to a brand new engine. I don't care what anybody says. You're just asking for trouble. If you did that, you could try it, but if you did that, that's a lot of trouble. Also, another thing too is with the development of new technology on PC, that seems to be demanding a lot more from the developers within their development cycles. I think this is actually a really weird aspect. So right now, we've gotten PC hardware that has had years and years of R&D to be able to make things smooth, right? The 2060s, the RTX, the 2060s were just the test bench. The 30 series were kind of like the first breakthrough to kind of see what the power was. And then the 40 series is kind of like the peak right now anyways of what the RTX series can do. So we're seeing a lot of these issues with the RTX, and here's what the developers have said. They said we're aware that Jedi Survivor isn't performing to our standards of for a percentage of our PC players, in particular those with high-end machines or certain specific configurations. For example, players using cutting-edge multi-threaded chipsets designed for Windows 11 were encountering problems on Windows 10, or high-end GPUs coupled with lower performing CPUs also saw unexpected frame loss. Rest assured, we're working to address these cases quickly. While there's no single comprehensive solution for PC performance, listen to this, folks. I know you're probably going to say, well, this seems like no. You don't have the the ubiquity and the conformity of your consoles, where your PlayStation version, everyone has the same console, or your Xbox version, everybody has basically the same version. You talk about Series S and Series X. And he says, the team has been working on fixes we believe will improve across a spectrum of configurations. We're committed to fixing these issues as soon as possible, but each patch requires significant testing to ensure we don't introduce new problems. Thanks for understanding, and apologies to any of our players experiencing these issues. We will continue to monitor performance across all platforms and share update timing as soon as it is possible. The good thing about PC is you have a return window as well too. So this is not something where everything has got to break and it all has to fall down, because the return windows are available for you to pretty much be able to go ahead and refund the game and say, okay, the game is probably not working well on my system, and you wait for it to basically come out. But I think the technological side is very interesting to acknowledge, because it must be acknowledged. That's another thing too about the PC genre. We've always kind of been on this end where it's kind of almost a hit or miss, but this is just the reality of making video games these days, especially with high-end machines coming all over the place. A lot of people say some really weird stuff. They say things like, the new content, but you have to realize that it's the old technology that's going to make the next set of games that you're going to see in the next 2-3 years. And so what many developers have decided to do is just make generic versions of their games and lock them up and not give you any extra features past maybe even slight resolution features. Example will be, I think it's Koei Tecmo, the studio that developed Wolong, Fallen Dynasty, or whatever it is. And a lot of the Japanese studios, they'll just lock their games to 60 FPS on high-end builds, and that's it. You're not getting anything more. You're not getting any ray tracing or any extra. You're just going to get what you're going to get. But a lot of the Western studios, they seem to be in a competitive state of wanting to be cutting edge with all of these things to kind of make you feel like you're having value, when in reality, I wish they would have just focused on maybe delivering the game in a similar quality that they did in 2019, when the RTXs were not necessarily a thing yet. And that way we would have been able to go ahead and just get this game in a running state and then the other features, add them later on. It's one of those, you're doomed if you do and you're doomed if you don't, but you're much doomed less if you do provide a smooth experience for all of your players across the board. And sometimes that means some sacrifices, ray tracing and, all of those, special additions like DLSS and, what's AMD's, I can't remember, FSR, are probably not going to be available at launch. And I think that should be a standard, especially for games that have been in development for a while before these new systems were actually put into place. But it's a sad thing, though, because the developers, this is just one of those things that they're going to have to deal with. It's just kind of it comes with the business. But at the end of the day, the game is not a bad game. The game is actually freaking good. My 3 hours in the game has been very, very instrumental in forming my perception of what this game is going to be. May not win Game of the Year because of these issues, but is a heavy contender for story and a whole lot of different things that a game like this can bring to, the conversation. But that's pretty much my, take so far. I really would love to hear what it is that you think in the comment section. I'm somebody who gives developers the benefit of the doubt. I don't come around here sitting and yelling and blah, 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 because I know how hard it is to make a game. I know how hard it is to optimize a game. I've been sitting here learning game development. So my take is very different. Some people may not like it, but I'm a school teacher by profession, and if I graded everybody on the standards that everybody wants video games to come out with, all of you will fail in my class. But, I'm one of those teachers who tries to, work with everybody based on their capabilities and circumstances. Fight me all you want, but I think that's a reasonable way to go about things. Everyone's got strengths and weaknesses in different places. I'm sure you didn't know that. But anyways, let me hear your thoughts in the comment section, and hopefully we'll talk pretty soon in another one. Peace out.